Hi guys, welcome to the channel. In this video I'm going to be putting together a ferro rod. This isn't just any ferro rod, this is a jumbo ferro rod. So I was given a piece of antler, more precise the base of an antler. It's quite an awkward piece to use, but it is a nice piece to use because it has some very nice features. In terms of making a ferro rod out of it, this is going to be quite awkward, but nothing we can't achieve. So the task is producing a comfy, something you can hold and grip while striking at the same time. So hopefully we're going to get this looking like this. Just going to eat a tuck cracker. Bacon flavour, I think. I'm going to have me a sip of coffee and then we're going to get started. Let's do it. So this is my Rustic Artisan ferro rod. I made this in a previous video. You might want to check that out. The link will be coming along the top somewhere. The rod itself was about 5 inches long. There's about 12.5 centimeters. This is the same size rod here. This is just a ferro rod blank. The black you see there is just a coating. Once you scrape that coating off, you get a really good spark from these. Good size, good weight, maybe quite excessive, but I'll be making a few more of these, a couple in wood and a couple with antler, so look out for them. I'll also be doing a leather pouch for them as well. Which I think I might run through on this one as well. I think I'm going to do one for this one, so that'll be a nice treat. So Bushcrafty Ste came across this piece of antler. This is the base of an antler. It's an unusual shape to work with. You've got this nice base on it here. To work with this, it has a nice comfortable feel to it, so I've just got to work with this piece, see which way round, smooth off some of these edges, shape it a little bit just so it's a bit comfier to hold. But yes, he was kind enough to give me this piece. He wanted a ferro rod similar to my own, making from it. He thought it'd make a nice handle, and he thought, right, it will make a nice handle. With a bit of work, a bit of shaping, bit of TLC, we'll make a nice ferro rod from this. So if you look inside any antler, you'll see a honeycomb or a marrow. These can be quite brittle, especially when you're trying to drill out the centre to accommodate a tang or a ferro rod. You can do a number of things. I don't have any vac equipment, unfortunately, so what I've done here is I've used a very low viscosity CA glue to penetrate inside there. It takes quite a lot because it's quite a big piece, but leave that overnight. You can also use epoxy, things like that, but again you need some kind of vac or pressure to force that epoxy down. That'll considerably strengthen the inside, and it'll help when you're drilling out the honeycomb so you don't get any blowouts or chipping or anything like that. Okay, so I've smoothed down some of these edges. I'm just going to neaten them up a little bit, and then I'm going to get drilling that hole. So I made a knife a while back now from antler, a stick tang blade, and I know from previous experience trying to drill the centre of antler is terrible, so I'm going to use a small grinding bit on my Dremel, and I'm going to hollow out the middle of here to the diameter of the ferro rod. What I've got here is a bit of a template. Fits the ferro rod nicely. Ooh. So I'm going to use this as a template to mark out where I need to grind. So first I want to kind of look for the center that I want, so I reckon probably roughly there. And if you look for the densest part and look for the hollowest part, and generally you want to get rid of most of the hollow section that you can. So if it needs to be offset a little bit, that's fine. If you're a little bit anal like me and it needs to be in the center, just try and take as much of that hollow section away within the diameter of the ferro rod. So I think with that center, I get rid of quite a lot of this hollow honeycomb section. Slightly off center, so I'll bring that down a little bit. Looks more like it, nice and even from this edge, this edge, this edge, and this edge. I'm also getting a lot of that less dense honeycomb in the middle, so the more of that I can get rid of, the better, really. This outside edge that's quite dense, this is the stronger part of the antler. This is what I want. Okay, so I've just sandwiched the antler between two blocks just to make it a little bit more stable while I drill it out. Voila! It's a nice tight fit. So I'm just going to mark round the ferro rod and just check the depth. This will also act as a bit of an area for me to key. So that's good, that's about 1/2 inch there, just a little bit over 1/2 inch. That's a good depth. So I can key that bottom area now for when I epoxy the ferro rod into the antler. So I've just keyed around the bottom there with a grinder. This just serves for just a bit more security when you're epoxying the rod into the antler. So that's still a really good fit. I'm quite happy with how straight the rod is to the antler. That's got a good grip to it, that, where I've smoothed off this edge here. I'll smooth this back down, polish all this up. I think I'm just going to taper this in a little bit more just to match up with the rod. Yeah, looking good so far. I'm happy with that. Happy with that. So I've got a couple of grades of sandpaper here. I've got a 120 and a 240. I'm going to go over all these edges, smooth them down, sand them down to a nice smooth finish, and then I can get polishing this. Feeling good. We're all polished up, we're all nice and smooth and shiny. I've also run a little coat of Canuba wax over it just to seal it all off and give it a nice bit of a sheen. So the last test fit before we glue in. Yes, and that's still a nice fit. Okay, so make sure there's no bits and pieces left in the recess. And we're going to mix some 2-part epoxy. It says 5-minute epoxy, so it should be pretty much hardened within 5 minutes, but to give it a good bond, it's always best leaving it for 24 hours. So while that's drying, I'm going to start designing and making a leather holder for it. So to make this leather belt loop, I'm going to take this 2mm thick veg tan leather, and I'm going to cut out a pattern on here. I'm going to dye this black, and I'm going to put a green thread on this. This will match the sheath that I did not so long ago for Ste. I've got a nice straight edge here to work with, so I'm going to go with that. I'm going to cut that out. The same again, if we look at inches wise, probably look at a 2-inch belt, 2.5-inch belt. So I'm going to go for 2.5 inches, which is just over 6 centimeters, 6.5 centimeters.